So hi, how you doing? Anyway, I'm gonna be making a stir fry, and I'm just gonna kind of be talking, and it's gonna kind of be sort of more of a general talk, like not specific, because I'm not gonna say specifically like what brought this thought to my mind, but it has to do kind of with friendship and just social constructs and how some people think that. Okay, some people think that friendships are a social contract. I feel like they believe that in a friendship, if somebody offers to do certain things, like I guess there's this unwritten social rule, like people that are very socially adept, they offer to do certain things for each other. Okay. Hi, how you doing? Happy New Year. Thanks. So they offer to do certain things for each other, but like if you're not really like part of that social club, like just making empty offers, which I really hate. I was taught growing up, you don't offer something or like offer faux condolences or support to somebody if it's not something that you actually mean. Like I was taught you should always tell the truth. So in my conversation with my friend, okay, she basically told me because I didn't offer to do certain things that her other friends had offered. And by the way, her other friends couldn't do those things, but she said it was meaningful. And when I tried to talk to her about it, okay, she kind of said, "Oh no, you don't have to say that. I'm not saying that." But she did say it. She brought it up. So I don't even have anything against her for it. It's just it kind of makes me think, what is it about fake offers? Like, why do we make fake offers to people or offer or say that we should get together with people or say that we should do this and that with people when we don't really mean it? Like, or you might want to in the future. But honestly, I've always hated those kind of interactions and they're very social. It's a very, I think it's a very American thing. I mean, I can't tell you about other cultures because I grew up in the US, okay? I think it's a very American thing where people will say like they hear something like some sort of life situation you might have and they might be like, well, what can I do for you and can I do this? So that's another thing. I felt like I told my friend, I said, I think we have a really good talking friendship where we can discuss things and talk about things because I'm kind of into conversational friendship. Yeah, I totally get what you're saying, like, but maybe you're just being polite to people. That doesn't mean like that you want to be their best friend. But here's the thing, like you can have friends for a long time and apparently if you don't offer like to do something, and then when I say, well, okay, so I just told my friend, I said, what is it that you want me to offer? Like what am I supposed to be offering to do? It was like something related to like something she's going through right now. And she goes, well, you could have, some people just offer. So I said to her, are any of your other friends doing that? She goes, no. And I don't want to like blame her because I really like her as a person. I really like her as a person. But this was where she was getting down on me today. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't need this deep of a like kind of conflict on New Year's Day. She was like, oh, well, this is why, like, this is one thing in our friendship. Like, I try to tell you how I feel, but you're not like being compassionate enough about my feelings on this. And I said, I'm not being incompassionate. I just don't think it's realistic or fair or truthful. If I were to offer doing something, well, first off, this thing that she thought I should offer to do, it's not something that's on my radar because it was just something that honestly, I don't do that. It will help people in many ways, but the thing that she thought I should offer to do is just not something that would have came to my mind, okay? Without being specific about it wouldn't have popped in my head, okay? I wouldn't have thought about doing that. So like people are in different life places, okay? And maybe when you have certain friends who are going through the same thing as you, they would offer to do that. But the thing that just kind of I thought was curious about it is none of her other friends were actually doing that. And she didn't want to admit it to me, but she felt like warm that they offered. But to me, I said, don't you think that's kind of fake that they did that? But she was like, no, it's not fake. And I'm like, but it kind of is, because I said, okay, are those people doing that for you? And this happens all the time, like in American culture, where people are like, oh, we should get together. What can I do for you? And then you, like somebody who's more of a literalist, like I grew up saying what I think and being taught that you offer and do and express things that are real. Okay. That's just that was how I was raised. Okay. But in American culture, some people might be like, oh, like, how can I help you? And like, people are very friendly, but it's very surface level. It's like very surface level. They don't really mean it. Like, it's not like they have this deep, like, oh, yeah, like they really want to do that thing. Because you might actually, not that I took somebody up on it. Yeah, that was the thing. It was kind of weird too. Like, it was emotional. Like, it was kind of like, okay, it was just because I didn't offer to do this thing, like this certain act that certain female friends would offer, but I didn't think about that. I'm like, well, first off, like, not to go too deep into it, your friends are in relationships and they have a different like mindset about that than I do. So I told her, I said, it doesn't hurt my feelings. It doesn't make me feel bad. I think that's great that your friends are offering to do that. And if they want to take you up on it, but then I asked, I said, are they doing that? And she's like, no. So I was like, okay, so they just made an empty offer. Yeah, if you disagree, being quiet is perfectly fine. I would rather somebody not say something than like say, oh, yeah, yeah. It's kind of like when people make fake promises that they want to like do a project with you. And so I guess I also was approaching this conversation. She said it was very businesslike, by the way. Because I was just like, I don't know what I can do differently. Because I told her, you kind of know I'm like this. And so anyway, at the end of the day, it was a bit much, but I don't think like it had to go there. I think what it was initially, I just am not saying the same things as some of her friends are saying, and that's fine. But I like having friendships where I can talk to people. I don't always need to go to their house and like do things for them. And here's the thing, I was kind of honest with her about it. I said, do you come up here and do things for me? And I never would ask anybody, right? I would never ask anybody to do those things. And she's like, but I think about you. And I said, I'm not saying you don't, but I was really legit honest. I said, you don't come up here and do those things for me. And we don't meet up for lunch up here. It's like another thing about it was I needed to go like 60, 70 miles to go meet her. And she was like, but I could drive and we could go to this like hiking location. Like we could do all this. And I said, why can't we do something more locally? I know it's not as exciting as the Orange County, but I just felt like it didn't have to be that elaborate. So anyway, just long story short, I'm not upset about it. I'm just like, oh, okay. So I kind of just feel like at a certain point in my life, like I love like just interacting with my sister, and I have a couple other friends that I see, but like just due to COVID, I just am kind of like my social circle is going to be a lot smaller, and I don't feel like the need so I'll still be friends with people. I just don't feel the need to offer to do things that didn't come to my mind, you know? If you don't want to do something or if it doesn't come to your mind, it's not a big deal. So I mean, she did agree with me on that, but I think she was still upset that I just didn't naturally like offer to do this thing that her other friends were offering to do, but they weren't going to do it either. It's just the fact that they offered. And I really don't think that's good. Like offering to do something, like if you say something, you should mean it. Like that's another thing I've always had a problem with is like when people muse about like future thinking and it's not something that they actually want to act upon. I'm like, no. And then like we had some deep discussion and conversation and it just kind of like, whoa, it kind of drained me a little bit. But anyway, not that big of a deal. I'm just like, oh, okay. Wow. I love spending time with my sister. I do. And there's a couple other friends I see, but I just don't need a lot of socializing in my life. And I kind of use COVID. Maybe I'm using COVID as an excuse, but to be honest with you, it's just because of these kind of interactions that we have with people where they get real passionate about this one thing. And I couldn't, like, today it was just getting kind of like, whoa, I couldn't even tell her what I really thought. Like, I couldn't tell her. She kept saying, "You're being defensive. You have to listen to my view. Oh, like, you need to have a more compassionate response." I'm like, well, I don't know what you want me to say. It was getting kind of like, whoa. Yes, there's very many comedy skits on it. That is so true. Although they canceled, or like, I guess they say some of the funnier comedy skits, like, I don't know if you've ever looked up the Mad TV stuff. It's not quite the same anymore because, like, you can't do certain kinds of jokes because the jokes might be offensive, although it was a multicultural cast and they wrote the jokes. But apparently now, like, on some shows, like, they say anything from the 90s or the early 2000s might be, I mean, I don't know, you do still have comedy, but it just seems like you have to be very careful about it and not offend people. And yeah, I feel like it's just getting a little too serious. And that was the one thing with my friend. Like, I know, like, we could just have a good time, but it's always been that in this particular friendship, it's like I'm always doing something that just kind of like she doesn't like, and I'm just like, well, maybe we should just talk on the phone. So anyway, long story short, I don't think men have conversations like this. I think it's just something that women do. I don't think a man, like, I don't see any man calling his male friend and doing that. Like, oh, like, you don't think passionately enough about how I'm in this time in my life and you didn't have to do it. I don't know. Do men have conversations like that with each other? I don't think so. It's, yeah, it's a female thing. It really is. And sometimes I'm like, I'm a woman and I'm very feminine, but I don't really think exactly like that. Like, the whole, yeah, it's interesting. But apparently in the future, like, I probably won't even say I'm gonna meet up with people in general, just because I have a few friends, but I'm kind of keeping it tighter at the moment, just due to COVID. Like, and also too, like, the new normal is, like, it's kind of like, okay, here's another new normal thing. Like, okay, we want to socialize, but we need to make sure we don't have symptoms and that we wear a mask when we socialize. And, I follow the rules. I wear the mask in the store, I wear it at work. But I feel like sometimes if you have a small circle, do you really need to wear it like all the time? And I kind of think, well, if my certain friends feel that way, that they need to wear a mask in order to socialize with me, I'm just telling them, I said, maybe right now, like, in this environment, it just feels too unsafe. Not that I'm going a lot of places. Yeah, I'm not going a lot of places, but maybe it just feels a little too unsafe to be socializing for you. And I don't want to put you at risk or make you feel uncomfortable. Like, if, like, we need to wear a mask and we don't have the virus and we've both been vaccinated, which, by the way, they said a few months ago, if you're vaccinated, you're okay and you don't have to wear a mask around people. And yeah, that's the thing. Like, okay, the thing is, I always talk to people, but it gets kind of strange. Like, when you're like, well, you didn't ask the right questions or in the right way, or say it like, I don't know. I'm just like, no, fun New Year's conversation. And I'm not superstitious because I don't believe in, like, superstition part, but it's just kind of like, people are like, well, if this is your first interaction in the year, no, I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in New Year's resolutions or any of that. I'm like, okay, just another day. For me, I'm going to tell you what it really is about. Yeah, a man would not do that. I totally get it. Only women do that. So, okay, this is what it's really about. I think, I think with women, it's always some sort of emotional contest to see who's more nurturing. And I've always been nice to my friends, and I am a very kind person. I'm not like some kind of like ballsy kind of woman that's like saying swear words and swigging beer and like shooting pool. I'm not that kind of woman. But it just seems like in general, like women kind of have like, not all women, but some women, they kind of have like this competition to see like who is more nurturing in the friendship. I am, but you're not. And I don't want to say like, I just, so, and I couldn't really tell her that, but those were just the thoughts that were going through my head. So I just kind of ended it. I'm like, okay, well, I hope you have a good day. And I'm sorry that I don't see things your way. And I don't want to have an argument because I really don't. It was just getting weird. We were arguing, it almost seemed like, about something that really, really wasn't meant to be argued about. So I just thought, let's just like, and she was really nice. She called me back later and said, oh, I don't want to upset you. And I said, well, I'm not upset. I'm just kind of baffled that our friendship sometimes always has these impasses, and apparently I'm supposed to offer to do things, but I think that's not real. I don't think that's real. If it's not something that would have came in my mind to begin with, it would be weird that I would even think about offering to do this particular thing. It's not even something that was on my radar. And I told her, you have other friends for that reason. Like they would offer to do those things. Well, you're very polite, and I think that's great. Like, I think that's a good thing. I just more have like one-on-one friendships. I don't like groups of females, honestly. Like, ugh. Yeah, that's another reason I'm going to be honest with you. I think, like, on YouTube, some women, they have a lot of women who follow them. And I have some female followers, but that's why, like, just as you hear me talk and things I share, I don't have like a lot of female followers in general because I don't really like, I am empathetic in my own way, but this is my type of empathy. I believe in individuality. And I don't really want to get into the whole thing that we had the big argument about, but it was about individual choice that I feel one way about like certain social issues while following the rules, but she just believes if everybody doesn't like do this one thing that they're not compassionate. And I know that's what it boiled down to because she kept telling me that. And I was just honest with her because I don't know. It's kind of silly, really. I'm like, oh my gosh, like it didn't have to go there. But yeah, at the end of the day, that's about it. I don't think that it was a big deal. I just think, in particular, friendships, sometimes maybe people don't see eye to eye on things. And I just decided to leave it at that. I really like her. She's fun. She's interesting. I love like when we have deep conversations about things, but we just didn't agree on that. Okay. On this particular thing, we just did not agree on that. So I think that's all it is. I didn't agree with her on that particular thing, and it's not the first time it's happened. Like I've had a couple friends where they're female friends, and we ended up having like, I don't know, not with men, but with women. Like we end up having these big blowouts over like who was more empathetic and who has more empathy. But I am actually an empathetic person, but my stance is I support you in your life choices and I'm not here to judge you. Like I actually don't want to judge my friends, like unless they're doing something that is completely immoral and cruel. I don't judge my friends. And she even told me, she said, well, you could tell me too what I can do to be a better friend. And I said, you know what? I wouldn't do that because I just like being your friend. I'm not here to like think about like how you could do things differently. I don't. Yeah, she kept saying, well, we need to like resolve this. We need to resolve this. And I'm like, well, I don't really think there's anything to resolve. I just think it just got down to we didn't agree on a certain thing. And yeah, that's about it. Yeah, I actually said that too. And let me just put it this way, women will sometimes like carry things on like beyond the point that a man would. Like, I hate to say that, but it's kind of true. Not all women, but some women will. And they'll be like, if you don't get down to it, like if we don't discuss it to this degree and from this angle, we didn't resolve it. And I'm like, okay, we didn't resolve it, I guess. So, well, to me, it's resolved. It's completely resolved. Like, I'm fine, She thinks I don't offer to do certain things for her. And honestly, I don't, because if it's not something that's on my radar, and let me talk about that too. It's the people that are always offering to do these fake things. Like, I see people do that all the time where they're offering to do things for people and they're not following through. But for some reason, people feel better or feel good that somebody offered to do something. But I'm like, it's fake town. Like, if somebody offered to do something or they said they wanted to do something and then they didn't do it within like 2 or 3 months, it's fake. Like, I'm sorry. And I don't like showmanship in conversation. Like, if you're just saying things to say them because you think you're checking all the boxes, that's not even real empathy for me, because I feel like, okay, people are not dumb. Maybe like in the moment it makes somebody feel good, like, oh, my friend, they offered to do that thing for me, or like they asked what I needed and oh, that made me feel really good. But then down the line you're gonna notice, oh, that person didn't really do that thing. And like, people do notice, like, look, friends can support each other by letting each other be. Like, I feel like that's just something I've come to the conclusion that a true friend will let you be yourself, and they will value you for who you are. And they're not going to say, like, oh my gosh. And, that's why we can have many kinds of friends. So I personally am not upset if somebody finds like certain values in their other friends that I'm not bringing to the table. Like, if your other friends volunteer to do something for you and that makes you feel good, I think that's wonderful. But for me personally, like, when people did that, not that I even needed people to volunteer to do things for me, because I'm not the kind of person that even asks. Like, I don't really ask a lot of other people because I'm more independent that way. Like, I don't go around asking. Like, I will help people. I will do things to help people. But that actually got mocked by some women too, because like some women would tell me, oh, why do you offer to help people? Like, because I just want to help people. And that was what I was taught was right, to do things to help people find a place or to get somewhere. Like, I was taught that was right. And I wanted to do that. Those were like things I actually wanted to do because it makes me feel good. And then some women would be like, well, why do you do that? Why do you offer that? And I'm like, well, because that's what I do. You don't have to do it. So anyway, it's a lot of like mind like games. I'm just like, oh boys, yeah, Idaho. My mind got. And then I started thinking, I'm like, oh well, like after a while, I didn't really know what to say, so I just kind of like went more general and just said, oh yeah, like I just started talking about that issue of whatever's going on in her life, and said, oh, how's that going? And I just left it at that because I'm like, I'm not. It's resolved. I just decided you can't really please everybody. It's that same thing. It's just that same thing. So that's what I did for New Year's Day. What else? Oh yes, Rumble. We've started to upload on Rumble like a little bit more. I've done that actually, and I'm not afraid to say why. I still will upload to YouTube, but right now YouTube thought that a video with me wearing a white shirt, this happens with a white shirt. For some reason, they really hate this particular white shirt that I wear. And I'm wearing a dress and I'm fully clothed and I'm not even talking. But several of these videos got restricted by YouTube on my other channel as being adult content, and you had to log in to see them. And I'm just like, this is absurd. So I tried to write somebody at YouTube. Actually, over Christmas, I was trying to reindex a few of those videos, but it was just getting so exhausting. And there's a few more I have to reindex because they told me that their system, even though these videos were never a problem before, they told me, yes, YouTube has determined that now these videos are maybe not advertiser friendly. And then sometimes when you appeal whether the video be advertiser friendly, they'll come back and say, not only is it not advertiser friendly, but it's also restricted. Like there are a few of them. And I'm like, it's funny because there's actually mainstream like entertainment acts that are nude almost and saying swear words, and they have ads running on those videos, but a video of me with my hair in a braid standing next to a table was just so, oh my gosh, it was so, woo. So I don't know. I'm still going to upload to YouTube, but I've just been kind of taking a mini break because, yeah, I'm just like, first off, I've been busy this week. And second off, I'm just like, really? Are you kidding me? Your automated system is a dodo. Oh, that's cool. I'm glad that you play video games, and that's fun. And make you light up plush. Very cute. That's cool. So, yeah, I'm going to start uploading some videos to Rumble. And yeah, Aya Cats, who I do the live stream with, we did a talk that we actually uploaded to Rumble, which was just kind of interesting. So, but I'm just actually uploading some of the hair videos to Rumble as well, because it's just another platform where if they are considered adult content on YouTube, although there's no nudity or anything, I don't know. I can't really discuss or figure out why. I can't figure out why YouTube thinks it's so risque, or their automated system does. But then when it's reviewed, they're like, oh my gosh. And it's not even balanced because there could be a video that's exactly like the other video. But for some reason, this white shirt, I'm going to do a test one of these days. I'm going to wear that white shirt again and see if it happens again, because apparently that particular shirt, although it's just a cute little shirt that I wear over dresses because, like, I don't know, more coverage, like when you're out in public, sometimes not that I want lots of coverage, but like with certain outfits. And this shirt is just so bad. How can I get cats to like me? Well, I grew up with cats, so I think with the cat, I just kind of have this innate sense of them. Like, well, here's the thing about cats: you kind of have to let them come to you, and you need to just not get in their space too much, and let them, like, you can talk to a cat. And like for me, like the way I ran over my semi-feral cat Irina, who passed away last year. The way I won her over was I just would talk to her, and I would be like, hi, meow, meow. And I'd have like full-blown conversations with her, and I just talk to her, and I'd let her know I want to pet her. And eventually I was able to start petting her, but I always had to kind of watch because she wasn't this kind of kitty that would just curl up on you and not swipe. She would swipe sometimes, and if you were watching her get more like fluffy, like I don't know what it was, but it was just Jackson Galaxy has some videos about this idea about the cats being like a puffball with too much stimulation. But the other cats I had when I was growing up that I raised from little kittens, they weren't like that, because I had them in my hands from day one, and I was holding them. And I had a cat named Rutherford, who I called my parrot cat, because he sat on my shoulder and he would walk. I would walk and he would just be there. Like he would be there with me. So yeah. So for me, like it was kind of just, I grew up with cats. I kind of like cats better than dogs because to me, the dogs were a chore. Like I think my sister's dog's really cute, but you have to walk them and just like, oh yeah, like it's a lot of work. Cats are more independent, and that's kind of why I like a cat, because the cat kind of has my personality. It's just more of an independent animal. Like some of them can be dog-like, don't get me wrong, but yeah, I don't know. I just got kind of used to cats. Like If you've had bad experience with cats, I would say maybe like try getting a rabbit or a fish or something. Like maybe a different kind of pet. It doesn't have to be a cat. It could be, I don't know, whatever pet you like. Yeah, they like to be touched once they have your respect. Like, okay, the people that, well, like, for example, dogs, like, I've had dogs before, like, they're like, oh, I love it. Like, when you take my hand, you go, oh, and like, you do all these silly things with them, and they would just love it. And they would follow you around. And a dog's just like very, like, loyal to you. It'll do whatever you want. Okay. A cat is not going to do that. Okay. You might be able to train a cat to do some things, but if a cat wants to sleep, a cat's going to sleep. If a cat wants to go eat, it's going to eat. It's going to do what it wants, and you can't stop a cat. So you have to just let a cat come to you. You don't go to it. And I think that's the difference. Like, you just have to let the cat be. And then if you can give a cat the space, and I have a conversation with my cat, and that would kind of win my cat over if it was a feral cat or semi-feral cat or just kind of a problematic cat. I would just let it be. Like, this actually worked too at some of my friends' house because they had a cat named Fluffy, and Fluffy did not like people. Fluffy was very irate, they said, but I don't know. I started talking to Fluffy. I said, oh, Fluffy, you're so pretty and fluffy. And I started having a conversation with Fluffy. And after a while, Fluffy came to me and started purring and rubbing against my hand. And I kind of pet her head. And my friend said, Fluffy doesn't even let us pet her. And she's our cat. And I said, I think it's just because I know how to speak to cats. Like, I just, it's something really innate within me. I know how to, like, work with a cat. Like, it's just kind of innate. Like, and, you know, with Irina, some people might be like, well, Irina swapped at you. But I'll tell you something. Irina would run from other people. She wouldn't even go near them. It's like, that was another thing about Irina. Okay, we tried to adopt another kitten, by the way. Disaster when Irina was here. Disaster. She freaked out, and she was never going to accept that kitten. And I know some people are like, but eventually she would have. I'm like, no. Irina was hiding in the bushes, and oh my gosh, she was just mad, and she let you know. She was like, whoa, and she was very unhappy. So I couldn't accept that other kitten to come live with us. The only reason I was doing it at the time was because I felt bad for the kitten, but it ended up finding a better home anyway with a woman that had like 2 other cats and a dog that would accept the cat. Irina was just very territorial. She was like, no, you are not. It's me only. And I was like, okay. So for Irina, it was her only. And I really did love Irina, and I loved having a cat. Right now, I'm taking a hiatus from it, though, was because I adopted Irina because I felt so bad for her. And I do love having a cat, but I still think it wasn't really fair to her if, like, she would be by herself. Like, right now, I would think she needs more stimulation. And if I'm gone for, like, 40 plus hours a week, I don't think that's fair, you know? With the stir fry, I'm probably just doing cabbage, tofu, onion, red bell pepper. I don't have any noodles right now. I mean, I could have bought some noodles, but it's just more like a vegetable stir fry with tofu and a sesame oil sauce kind of flavoring. So it's more vegetable-y and less salty than the ones in the American grocery stores, not grocery stores, restaurants. Like, oh. You know, dogs are fun. I think, like, if you like a dog, like, there is one kind of cat, the Manx cat. It actually originates from the UK, the Isle of Manx. They're more like dogs. Like, if you decide that you want to get a cat, but I think if you like dogs, that would be better to stay with dogs. Now, my one sister, she likes dogs better, and I didn't know that. But she said she didn't know why we had a cat. Like, when my other sister used to live with me, she didn't understand why we had a cat because she said cats were too much work. And I'm like, actually, they're not, because if you can train a cat to make sure it uses its litter box, and cats like a clean space if you keep it clean, okay? Cats are very clean animals. So they're not really that dirty, but she said that she thought a cat would be really dirty. I said, that's because the people you knew had many cats and they didn't keep a clean area for them. So cats will have their little accidents in places because they're looking for somewhere clean. It's not that a cat wants to do those things. Those people just didn't have a good environment for their cat, you know, which can happen. Like some people are pet hoarders. Like I don't have anything wrong. Like if you have many cats and you have enough clean litter boxes for them and enough space for them, that's one thing. But it's just it can become problematic like when you start having multiple cats and you don't clean their space, and yeah, that's going to be problematic. Like I knew this lady, okay, when I was a kid, and I was kind of horrified because we went to her house for a party on the 4th of July, and there were cat stains on the floor, and I'm like, what is that? And she goes, well, I could scrub on it if I ever get bored. I'm like, it doesn't work that way. It was pretty gross. It's like, so she didn't really treat her cats that well because cats don't want to live in a dirty environment. They really don't. Cats are clean animals. Yeah, you have to walk a dog multiple times a day. That's another thing too. Like with a dog, you need to have like a wee pad for them if you can't walk them multiple times per day. And cats, like, that's part of why right now I would love to have a cat, but I feel sad because if I wasn't interacting with the cat enough, I feel like it'd be lonely. And eventually, if I do move, I might get a cat again, but I'm just kind of waiting on it. You know, just waiting on it. But you know, my sister has a dog and she loves it. She likes having a dog. They actually got a Chiweenie dog and they're little. So she says that's the best thing for her. Like she loves having a small dog. I've only ever had big dogs when I was young though. So I was kind of skeptical of the little dogs at first, and the dog did not like me at first. It took a while, you know. It took a while for that little dog to like me, but it finally does because I fed it table scraps when I shouldn't. That was true. I didn't lie about that. You know, I didn't lie. Like I'm finding out though, like people say that they love transparency, they love the truth, they like it when people are honest, but not entirely. Okay, and this just kind of goes back to what I was saying about my friend today. Okay, so she likes honesty. She likes the truth. She likes transparency when she's kind of saying it. Like, I don't know. If it's about something that she's thinking. But I just think in general, if you're transparent about your take on something, it's not always well received. But yeah, I just kind of decided to leave it at that because I'm like, well, can't be honest with everybody. I can be honest with my sister, though. I can with my friends. And I just feel like I really want people that are honest with me at this point in my life. You know? Like, I don't want to, like, I'm going to tell you, and this, not that it's a whole New Year's resolution thing, because I don't do that, but I'm really looking for people in my life that are honest about everything they think and feel. Like, people that if you say you're going to do something, and I don't want anybody, like, I don't need anybody to promise me anything. Personally, I'm not looking for that in life. So I'm completely not in the camp that I think you should be offering to do something. I'm just like, if you say you're going to do something, I'm always wondering a few months later, why didn't you do that thing that you said you wanted to do? Or why did you say you felt one way when you really felt another? I don't know. I guess I'm weird like that. I have a different mindset though. But yeah, that's a big American culture thing. As long as you offer to do the thing, it's good. But if you don't offer to do the thing, it's bad. Apparently, this is what people think is compassion nowadays, and I don't think that's what compassion is. Like, and I was trying to tell my friend that today, but she didn't like that. My opinion is, true compassion is when you just care about somebody because they are, and like my friend's a really wonderful person, very deep about a lot of things, but there are certain things we don't agree on, obviously. We don't agree on everything, obviously. I mean, but I really like talking to her. But apparently, some people just want friendships where people offer to do things. And yeah, anyway, that's that. So, I don't need any, like, I wouldn't want somebody to be like, well, what can I do for you? Like, or offer to do something if they don't mean it. Like, to me, if your actions over time illustrate that you don't mean something, I'd be like, okay, well, don't waste my time. And you think I'm dumb. That's just my impression of it. Like, but apparently other people feel really good if somebody offers to do something that they were never going to do. Yeah, so you've seen like the whole American culture thing. It's just like, oh, what are we going to get together? I haven't seen you in 5 years, but we saw each other for 2 minutes and we're going to hug like we're the best of buddies. Like, that used to kind of annoyed me too. And then people would want to hug you, okay? Because that's the thing. I don't just hug random people that I consider an acquaintance and act like they're a long lost friend and start declaring that we should get together. It just feels fake town to me. And like when people would do that, like they would, like, that was another thing I got told. They're like, well, why don't you like hug me? And I'm like, we're acquaintances. We aren't close friends. If we were close friends, yeah, would have picked up the phone and called. Okay, this brings me to another conversation that I kind of want to have, and it's about, like, it's kind of about shows right now. And I think I talked about this a little bit in that review of Sex and the City. Well, anyway, the series was over. It's been done for years, and the lady Kim Cattrall that played Samantha, she didn't want to be in it anymore. Like, she said that. She's from the UK originally. Like, so maybe she has a different mindset, but basically she said, and I kind of get what she's saying, and I know people don't like this because she was honest about it in an interview, but she said, first off, she declined to do the show, and that should have been good enough, but it wasn't good enough, apparently, so, like, they kind of were pushing it more, I guess. It seems like they didn't just leave her alone. She said, I'm done. I don't want to do another show. Like, that should be good enough. And I don't even care about, like, celebrity show talk most of the time. But I'm like, leave her alone. If she doesn't want to keep doing the show, she doesn't have to. But this is where it got really weird, okay? So I guess, like, and I don't even have an opinion about these people in real life or anything. But I guess instead of calling her, like, Sarah Jessica Parker, instead of calling her, like, she publicly said she was sorry on a post about her family. And it was kind of weird, but it is kind of an American thing. And like she said, nobody ever called her in real life to just talk about something. Like, they would just make these public declarations, and that's kind of strange and awkward. And Americans do that. Like, they will publicly say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. What can I do for you? And I think that's kind of what I was trying to talk to my friend about it today. And it's not even about those actors. That's just an example. In American culture, making a big declaration about, oh, I'm so sorry, like, what can I do for you in your time of need, is given accolades. But it's the quieter people that are not. Like, the people that might just behind the scenes actually just call a friend and talk to them and let them talk. And maybe, like, the person that's going through a bad time, maybe they don't want to have somebody asking them, oh my gosh, what can I do for you? Like, to me personally, I would want somebody to just talk to me and let me express it if I felt like expressing it. Like, forcing someone to open up about something that might be hurting them could be hurtful, People never think about that, I don't know. It's kind of interesting, but I don't know. It's just all these different things that I just don't really. I'm more introverted, so I don't really get on board with all this, like, oh my gosh, you have to like have social. It's kind of this whole social credits thing too. It's another aspect of it. Like, oh, I socially, like, said, what can I do for you? And even if I can't, like, actually cash in on this offer, this fake offer, I said it. So I mean it. And I'm the good one, and I'm compassionate because I just verbally said that I wish I could do this or do something that I'm not going to do. I lied, okay? I told a public lie, and that makes me a good person. How? Please explain. That doesn't make you, like, a bad person or a good person for doing that. It's just your choice. Like, you participate in that social contract, I personally think that part of the social contract doesn't apply to people who want to just be more authentic. Okay, if you want to be authentic, you can call your friend, but you don't have to make these feel like, oh my gosh, what can I do for you and how are you feeling? You could just say, hi, how are you? And let them be, and you be you, and not have these fake kind of conversations that aren't legit. Because the reason it's not legit at the end of the day is a lot of these people don't do these things. And when I think about it, I don't ever want to get down on friends of my friend, but they're not doing the things that they said that they wanted to do for her. So to me, it's not authentic. But she didn't like that I said that. It's like she didn't like that she said, but that's not true. And I said, so I don't care. I think it's great that she has friendships with people that offer to do things that make her feel good. But in general, like if you just know people and they offer to do something and they're like, what can I do to help you? Or do you need something? I would kind of be like, if I need something, I'll ask you. Like, really, I'll ask you. And real legit people, they don't go around doing that. Like, they actually just like are kind and compassionate, and they show you that they want to be your friend through actions, not through empty words. I have a big problem with empty words. Because empty words can never be cashed in. They have no value to me. They're not real. They're just for social credit. And I'm not into social credits. I'm into authentic people and authentic situations. But we're not supposed to say this in American society because, oh my gosh, like how dare you like say that maybe somebody promised something they were never going to do, but it happens all the time. And I just am curious, like, why does that make people feel better to offer to do something they weren't going to do? How does that make you feel good? Don't you feel weird like later on that you offered to like help somebody when you really didn't mean it? I mean, don't you feel weird about it? I would. I don't know. It's just like I'm not super extroverted, so maybe I'm just clueless about this. I really don't claim to be super extroverted, so people that offer to do things like that, I suppose it makes them feel good on the inside. And that's all that counts. That's all that counts for them. If they feel good, see, that's the thing. Like, at the end of the day, I'm just going to let those people do that. And I feel like I just am pursuing kind of more friendships where there isn't that requirement. And I know if you think, like, why is she talking about this? It's because it was brought up on my radar multiple times today to where I was kind of asked to like discuss this thing with somebody where I kind of just wanted to let it go. And I was like, it's fine. Like, to me, the resolution is we don't agree on this certain idea or certain things, and I can't change it for you. But I was told to, you're saying okay like that? It's defensive. It's defensive. You should have thought of this. And I'm like, how could have I thought of that? And anyway. Sometimes. Yeah, like I said, I don't think men really do that to their friends. Like, I have never heard of a guy, like, I don't know, my dad or like my cousins or anything. I've never heard of a guy, or just like male friends I kind of know, I've never heard of them say, gosh, that guy that I'm friends with, like, he really wasn't compassionate towards my feelings, and he didn't offer to do this thing that I'm going through in life. Like, he didn't just offer it. So I'm going to get mad at him for not offering. It's kind of weird. I mean, yeah, guys can offer to do things they're not going to do too, but they're not going to kind of chastise their other male friends for not doing those things. Anyway, lots of fun semantics that just had a lot of fun with. Fun times, I tell you. But I want to be friends with everybody, and I don't want to change people. I just kind of would like, I guess at the end of the day, I would like my friends to respect me and who I am, and not have this expectation that I say and offer to do something that, first off, wasn't on my radar, and second off, like, if it's not something I would offer to do, wouldn't that be fake, Yeah, exactly. It's weird. It'd be really weird, like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, it would not go over well. But women do this. Women do this, so. But, I'm a very feminine woman. I dress femininely. I am sensitive about certain things. But when it comes to certain things, basically, I have too much of a business transaction mindset, apparently. Yeah. Because I don't offer that. But it's good. On other minds, like, okay, so yeah, I'm still going to do YouTube videos on the hair channel, but that's another thing too. I'm so sick of the whole modeling thing, like hair model. Like, I told everybody the other day on the other channel how this channel shared my pictures and then, like, I guess unshared it, but they made a big deal that they shared it, which is cool, whatever. But they're like a hair modeling agency with like thousands of people that they never paid to be in their modeling agency, but they are promoting a link to some hair modeling. And I'm like, I'm not a hair model. So I decided to finally tell my YouTube profile, not YouTube, but Instagram profile, that I'm not. I don't know if anybody's going to notice because I'm like, I'm a real person with long hair and I live long hair in real life, not in pretend. And that's my new stance in 2022. So I might take that off in a couple of days, but I just found it kind of amusing to myself. Like, I'm a real person. I'm not like paid by anybody on Instagram to pose for their website. I don't think anybody thought I was. I'm good at photography. So if I take pictures you happen to like, I took them. Nobody else. Not that there's anything wrong. I do love beautiful photography. I'm just like, I never was a professional hair model. But there are a lot of profiles apparently promoting themselves as such. Although they never pay these people. They just share their pictures. That's fine if you do. But when you say that they're models, is it true? I mean, not really. In a way, they're models, but not truthfully, because you didn't pay those people to like pose on your page. Like, did you compensate them in some way? Like, have you paid them, or are you just resharing their pictures? That's fine, but be honest about what your page is. Don't pretend that you're a modeling agency. Like, if it's just an individual person sharing hair pics of women that they think are attractive, that's fine. But it's like when you try to present yourself as a hair modeling agency, I'm like, okay. So I just thought as a fun joke for myself, I would say, I'm not a hair model. And I think all of us know what I'm referring to, but I don't even care. I'm just like, ooh, okay. I just thought it'd be kind of a fun and different hashtag. So I'm going to stir fry him, but that would take a long time. So I don't know if people want to watch that because the camera angle wouldn't be so good. Maybe. Let's see. So I'm going to turn around to the oven, not the oven, the stovetop. And yeah, I'm going to get rid of these candles. Sometimes they're still pretty candles. Put the water in the fridge. Put the water in the fridge, mister. Let's pour some of our soda stream, which is working, but I'm not sure how long it's going to last. I don't love it, but I drink it sometimes. It just doesn't. It doesn't really run on me. I thought I'll try it again. This flavor's still not good. I don't like it. But it's okay. And then so close the cabinet. I have two different kinds of Trader Joe sauces. This one has like tamari in it. So I think I'm going to use in like not soy oil, but sesame oil. I'm going to use lots of that one. And then I have a spicy one. It's super spicy. This is like a chipotle not chipotle, but it's a jalapeno sauce. So basically, it's just jalapeno peppers, canola oil, and garlic powder. And it's very natural because it's from the Trader Joe place. So I think I'm going to use lots of that as the flavoring for this. It's a vegetable stir fry with tofu in it. It's very veggie centric because, I like my veggies. Not that I never put noodles in a stir fry, that's just kind of like what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm going to turn on the heat. This little fiber here. Like, give the stove a nice scrubby scrub on here. I don't know. I think this not clean. Like, ooh, look at that. Look at that. Do more later. Are you in the washer? Turn it on. And then I'm going to get like a spatula for it. And I'm going to kind of stir it up. I'm going to let it steam a little bit and then stir it up and stir it down. Tofu on the bottom. So yeah, I'll just let it cook and do its little thing and it'll get really hot and bubbly and then I'll keep stir frying it. So I used like a tamari soy, I keep saying soy, it's actually sesame oil with sesame seeds in it. And then I have the Trader Joe like jalapeno sauce. And in that sauce, there's a little bit of canola oil. So I'm not going to add any extra oil to it or anything because it already has oil in these sauces that have natural ingredients instead of the weird stuff that, like, the regular grocery store has some real weird stuff. I like Trader Joe because it's more natural ingredients. Trader Joe's the American version of Aldi. I've been to Aldi in America, here in the U.S., and I don't know if our American Aldi's just not as good. But I like Trader Joe better. I just do. Trader Joe's fun. I like Trader Joe's. I'm a Trader Joe fanatic fan. Trader Joe's not for everything. But if you like things with more natural ingredients, Trader Joe's really your grape jelly jam. It really, really is. Let's steam down. And see, I don't feel as bad eating this because it's just tofu and some steamed vegetables, like stir fried, not steamed. Steamed is not my thing. But I love stir fried veggies. So, like, if I eat this, like, it's not like when you go to an Asian restaurant and it's just really salty and really heavy. So I make it a little bit lighter, That's just my preference, personally. But when you do a stir fry, you can put anything you want in it. So that's what I put in it. I have a lot of water bottles. They all need to go live in the fridge. Guys, use congregating on the counters. My secret is I drink water, but I don't drink as much as some people. I still drink water, but it's just like there's these requirements to drink 2 gallons of water a day. 2 gallons? I don't know. So, like, I sometimes try to do what other people do. I'm like, let's drink a lot of water, friends. Let's like guzzle water. And it just never feels like very satisfying to me. And people are like, but you need to drink lots of water. You need to drink more water. Okay, I'm drinking more water. And you ought to drink more. But I eat more vegetables and more fruit than a lot of my friends and people I know and just in general in life. Like even my sister, I eat more vegetables than she does. But she's like, you need to drink more water. You need to drink like 10 glasses of water a day. If I drank that much water, I'd be in the bathroom every 10 minutes. But some people are. I'm just like, I'm not going to drink so much water that I feel like I have to go to the bathroom constantly. Like, if you're out and about, this is not convenient to me personally. I'm like, so I'll drink water, but just this whole water, like, oh my gosh, like, you need to drink more and more and more and more and more water. It's just like, okay. So I started doing that, and I'm just drinking tons and tons of water. And I think hydration can be overdone, but that's not popular to say. Like, to people who believe in hydrating, like, you're going to hear now that it's New Year. I'm drinking 2 liters of water a day at the beginning of the morning with lemon in it. And I'm like, if that makes you feel good, do it. But I just sip on water when I feel thirsty. I can't force myself to just like chug water like that. And when I did in the past, I felt like I was starting to choke. Like when I would drink water as aggressively and as fast as some people do. Like they're like slugging it down. And I'm like, oh boy, I don't know. I just can't do it. I'm like, I'm a shorter person too. So maybe, I know it sounds weird and counterintuitive, but they've even said that was overdone and it wasn't accurate, that people don't need like 10 glasses of water a day. That's not suitable for everybody. It is contingent upon how many liquids you eat in food too. Or if you eat an apple. I eat apples. Some people don't. So like, maybe if you eat more fruit and veggies, you don't need to constantly be drinking water. Well, I'm drinking a whole bunch of water right now just to see. Let's drink more water. It's a little thing of water. I have little waters, not big giant ones. My plan was to just filter more water. I just had some of those little waters left over. I buy like a water if I'm at work or something. But when I'm at home, I don't really need to drink bottled water. It's just they've been sitting around and I need to drink them up. Drink more and more water. It's a water drinking contest. Don't do that, by the way. Not a good idea. Just drink water when it comes naturally. Like, that's my suggestion. Like, yeah, if you're dehydrated, you probably should drink more water. But I would like to think that throughout the history of the world, people knew to drink water without this recommendation that you drink more and more and more of it, and faster and more vigorously, and carry around a big thing of water bottle that would just be extra weight that you have to carry around. I'm just like, okay. Look, I get it. When I'm outside walking in the heat, I definitely need to drink more water. But like on a winter's day, if you're inside, I'd rather drink a cup of tea or coffee or something. Like, I have been kind of getting into drinking tea more at home because I do love coffee, but I've been drinking more tea just because I don't turn on the heat and kind of keeps me warm, and there's water in tea. So you could just drink a few more beverages that might be more pleasing than like guzzling a big thing of water. But that's just my take on it. So yeah, I turn up the heat on this so I can kind of cook down the cabbage and it gets all sizzly. And the tofu kind of caramelizes. You can do it with meat too, whatever you want. But I just like it with veggies. That's my preference. And the onions are kind of on the bottom, getting all caramelized. I love a vegetable stir fry. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Thanks for watching. Have a great evening. Bye. Bye.